Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is the Task Manager _10, and today we're going to be doing another episode of the My Strange Playlist series. Now, if you haven't seen episode 1, in that episode we ended up going over the Sonic the Hedgehog playlist, and we're initially going to go over all these others as well. However, because the Sonic the Hedgehog playlist took 50-something minutes to get through, I've decided to turn what was initially going to be a really big video into a series. So, yeah, that's why there's now episode 2. And for episode 2, we're going to be going over the Friday Night Funkin' playlist, as well as some others, because since the F&F playlist only has 134 videos, as well as not really much to talk about with it, at least compared to the Sonic playlist, I think we'll be able to cram maybe 1 or 2 more playlists into this video. So, yeah. I know we just started scrolling down these videos, but I gotta be honest, it is crazy to me just seeing that these videos are from 5 years ago. Especially with this Week 7 one here by 8-Bit Ryan. I actually remember when Week 7 first came out, I saw a video, which I can't remember who the video was by, but it was basically just an entire, like the entire Week 7. And at first, when I saw it, I thought it was just a mod. But then, during the part where Pico shows up, I was like, wait a second. This feels a little bit too high quality to just be a mod. So I looked at the comments and I saw, people talking about how it's like official and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, Week 7 is actually out. So what I did is that I either went to 8-Bit Ryan's most recent upload at the time or his most recent FNF upload at the time. And I left a comment talking about how Week 7 finally came out in hopes that when he would make his Week 7 video, he would bring up my comment saying like, oh, I found out that it came out thanks to, Task Manager _10 or whatever. Sadly, he did not shout me out. In fact, I don't even think he ever saw my comment, but yeah. Anyways, it's just crazy to me that that's now half a decade ago. 5 whole years. In general, it's actually crazy to me that Friday Night Funkin' is 6 years old, or at least will be turning 6 years old. It's crazy. I was in 6th grade when the mod came, or not mod, the game came out. What's even crazier is the FNF versus the Mass Chris mod. This one's even more wild because of the fact that it's from 4 years ago. I know I'm gonna keep on saying this, but I remember when this came out. Like, with the Week 7, when I think about, it coming out, I'm like, yeah, that was quite a while ago. But this, to me, the versus the Mass Chris mod, still feels pretty recent. Even though it's almost as old as Week 7. At least assuming that, the years ago tag thing here is correct. But yeah, I don't know. It's wild to think that, I don't know. I should actually note just real quick, I'm not going to be talking too much about the Mass Chris related content. So things such as Versus Edeled or Starlight Mayhem, I won't really bring much attention to it because I actually have an entire video dedicated to the Mass Chris that I'm not entirely sure when it will come out, but will hopefully be soon. So, yeah, so stay tuned for that. Then we got the Chinos animated stuff. I remember, okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge, fighting guy. I mean, I never participate in fights myself, but I do like watching, sprite animations of, Sonic and Mario just duking it out, because they're always just really entertaining. Even if there's practically no story to them, just the fight itself is really entertaining to me. And when Friday Night Funkin' first came out, and I was starting to get into it, I always like tried thinking, how could I imagine Boyfriend in a fight? Like, how could I imagine him fighting someone? And for the longest time, I just didn't know. The only thing I really had to go off of was that one unused sprite of him throwing his microphone. And that was basically it. However, when versus Matt, like the Matt versus Boyfriend boxing fight, part one for came out, and I watched it, I'm like, dang, this is awesome. And then part two came out, and I'm like, I was so excited for it. And then we got part three, and I remember being really let down by the fact that Boyfriend lost. But yeah, I don't know, it was just really cool. And then Witty versus Boyfriend Part 1 came out. I remember, I think it was in 7th grade. I came home from school, and, I was on my laptop, and I was going to do some homework. But then I saw it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch it. And I remember being really disappointed. I'm not entirely sure why. Because from what I remember, like, there's not really anything wrong with it. But then when Part 2 came out, I really liked it. Then part 3, and then I remember after part 3 came out, I did like my own little bit of math to see what a full series, like how long the full series video would be, before it came out. And I remember when the full series video did come out, I was very shocked by how off my calculations were. Like, I had my notebook and everything, and I was, like, jotting down the lengths of all 3 parts, and then I, like, did the math to combine them. And honestly, I'm genuinely not sure how my calculations were off. Because granted, I'm not the best at math, but I'm pretty good at, like, adding. So, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. There's Boyfriend versus Hex Electric Fight, which was honestly disappointing. I mean, granted, it's just a simple one-shot, but I don't know, I just wasn't really too into this one. The Kara versus Boyfriend knife fight, though, that one is awesome. Like, that's the only one I feel like I've watched recently. Specifically, like, 3 months ago, I was rewatching it and watching people's reactions to it. And it's just crazy how, like, fast-paced it all is. I genuinely love it. And I saw a really cool mod that I'm pretty sure you can actually play. I don't think it's just a simple animation. Where it was literally just this fight, but in Undertale's pixelated art style instead of Friday Night Funkin's. And in my opinion, that's just way better. I really like that. So, yeah. Moving away from Chino's animated, kind of going back to 8-Bit Ryan here. Indie Cross version 1. The fact that this is 4 years ago is absolutely wild to me. I remember watching leaked videos, and just like trying to scavenge like any sort of information I could for like when the full version of this mod would come out, or like when, like what would be included in it. And I remember when it finally did come out, I was so happy. I think I watched Community Games' video, and I don't remember really much of like what I thought about it at that time. In fact, the only thing I remember is that I was at my mom's house, and at one point I had to go and take a shower because we were going somewhere. And when I got out of the shower, it was on the Build Our Machine song, the one featuring like the little cartoon bendy guy here. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor hovering over him, but I'm sure if you remember the mod, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, it's just crazy to me that that's 4 years ago. Wild. Ooh, and dead graphics. Okay, so kind of going back to what I was saying about like trying to conceive what a FNF fight would look like. I kind of said that Chino's animated, or at least I implied that Chino's animated was kind of what gave me the idea of how Boyfriend should be in like a fight. But I think it was actually Dead Graphics videos here that gave me the ideas of like, you know, what Boyfriend and also like other Friday Night Funkin' characters would be like if they were to fight. I remember when this came out, I was like so happy because, you know, it finally answered that question that I had been pondering for a while. And I haven't really seen these animations in quite a while. They're very short though, but from what I remember, they're pretty good. I might have to rewatch them just to see if my opinion would change, but yeah, from what I remember, they're pretty good. The 10 things about boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, I have something embarrassing to admit about this video. So, back then, like way before this video even came out, I kind of like headcanoned that, and I think a lot of other people in the community kind of headcanoned this, but um, yeah, back then I headcanoned that boyfriend couldn't speak English and he could only speak in beeps and boops. And in this video, Dark Napoleon says that boyfriend can actually speak English but chooses to speak in beeps and boops. And I kid you not, when I heard that, like when I watched the video and I heard that, I started tearing up. I'm being so for real. I genuinely started tearing up because my headcanon was wrong. To this day, I feel a bit embarrassed by that. Granted, no one was in the living room with me when that happened, so no one saw me tearing up over that. But still, just the fact that like I even did that is just crazy to me. But also just kind of funny. But yeah. I don't know. It's just interesting, I guess. Ten things about Funkin' Lullaby. Now, with this video, I actually remember when it came out. I'm pretty sure I was either in 7th or 8th grade when it came out. And I remember seeing it on my recommended page, and it had like a completely black background, and the 10 things about, like right here in the thumbnail, was like in the center instead of being on the right side. And I'm pretty sure the title was 10 things about question mark, question mark, question mark. Although that one I might be wrong. My mind could have just made that up. But I know the thumbnail didn't used to look like this. And I'm honestly curious as to why Dark Napoleon decided to make it that way. Maybe it was like a premiere thing and he didn't want it to be revealed like what the video was actually about. Not entirely sure, but very interesting nonetheless. Funk Mix Deluxe. Dude, I'm gonna be real. I feel like Funk Mix Deluxe is such an underrated mod. Like, I remember when like the update for it came out and I kept like watching videos of it. I was so disappointed with how few people were actually playing it. I think the only big like FNF content creator to actually play it, at least like at the time. I mean, I'm sure there's probably way more videos of people playing the mod, but when it first came out, the only big FNF content creator that I saw actually play it was Unique Geese. And even then, I don't even think he actually finished it, at least not on YouTube. I think he ended the YouTube stream early for some reason. But yeah, kind of disappointing. I hope that the mod has gotten a bit more popularity because in my opinion, it's just awesome. Like, it's literally just the original Super Mario Bros, but FNF. It's cool how it replicates it almost perfectly. Oh yeah, the unboxing the official Friday Night Funkin' OST releases. This was actually the video that made me want to get the FNF album and well, actually, yeah, no, just just the FNF album, like the little CD thing here. And then this video, the What's Inside the Official Funkin' Vinyl, is what made me want to get the FNF vinyl record, which I still have, by the way. Well, actually, not the CD, because what ended up happening is that I ended up putting the FNF CD on top of like my mom's CDs, because she has like a bunch of CDs, and I put the FNF one like just somewhere in the stack of them, and I haven't seen it since because my mom ended up moving her stuff out. We put it in a storage container, and then I think she took all the stuff in that storage container to her own house. So it's very possible that my mom has it, but in the house I'm currently recording this video in, nowhere to be seen. I do still have the FNF vinyl record though. It's in my room currently. SMG4. You know, kind of going on a non-FNF related rant here. I gotta be honest, SMG4 is one of those YouTubers which I never really grew up with. I know a lot of people grew up with him, but aside from that one video where him and Mario are in Bomb Bomb Battlefield, I never really watched SMG4, and I think the main reason was because I was always worried about him swearing. Because growing up, I couldn't watch anything that had swear words, except, like, movies. In fact, if there was ever a YouTube video that I watched that had swearing in it, and my dad or mom were to hear it, they would yell at me and tell me to, like, get off YouTube. So I was always, like, super worried and very cautious around, like, you know, someone, like, swore or not. In fact, whenever I would watch a new YouTuber, I would always just have the volume down really low, but not, like, to the point where I can't hear it, only so I can, like, slightly hear it, just to see if, like, they swear at all. In fact, I remember Kindly Keyin. He's, like, a kids YouTuber, but when I watched his Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 2 playthrough, I did the exact same thing, you know, just had the volume all the way down to see if, like, he would swear or not. And when I realized that he didn't, that's when he was, like, he became like a normal YouTuber that I would watch. I don't watch him anymore, but back in like 2017 through probably 2019, I was watching him a lot, especially his Baldi's Basics and Hello Neighbor content. But going back to SMG4, I just, like, even when I did watch SMG4, like later in the future, I still never really got into him. I remember the video Mario gets his Pingus stuck in the door. That was the video that kind of made me interested in the channel, but I wouldn't say I was ever really a fan. In fact, the only other time I really gave any, like, big amount of attention towards the channel was when I was writing my own version of my friend Joey's story called Joey's Multiversal Craziness, which features primarily SMG4 and Murder Drones characters. So, when it came to writing that story, I did have to watch a lot of SMG4 content, but again, I wouldn't say I was ever really a fan. Not to say that I didn't like his content, it just, I never, like, was too big on it. I will say, though, I am glad that, it's finally come to an end, because you have to think, like, he's been doing this since 14 years ago, possibly 15. You know, it's about time that, you know, he ended the series. And although I haven't seen the final video, I have heard, like, really good things about it. So, at least SMG4 ended on a high note. I think that's really good. But, yeah, anyway, sorry for going on a, non-FNF related thing there. I guess anything to make this video longer, I suppose. But, yeah. Spitting bars with Freddy and Henry Stickmin. You know, I think on my original Friday Night Funkin' playlist, specifically the one on my school account, pretty sure this was the video that was like the cover. Like the cover art for the playlist. Like it was the first video in the playlist. But then when I made the playlist on this channel, the Task Manager _10 channel, I decided to go with a cover that was more representing of the actual game itself. Obviously featuring Boyfriend and Daddy Dearest, who obviously are characters from the base game. Last I checked, Freddy Fazbear and Henry Stickmin are not in the base game. Well, actually, no, Henry Stickmin is, but he's not like an opponent that you fight. He's just a background character in Week 5. Man, seeing these Mask Chris videos makes me really want to talk about them, but I don't want this video to be too terribly long. And like I said earlier, this is going to be its whole, like all this stuff is going to be in its own separate video, so yeah. Here we got a private video. I'm curious if it's the Mask Chris related or if it's just something else. A deleted video. This one I don't even think I can get rid of from this playlist, so that kind of sucks. Indie Cross Anniversary Showcase. When do you guys think Week 2 of Indie Cross is coming out? Because Week 1 came out, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. So, yeah, I don't know. They've been developing Week 2 for quite a while now. I'm pretty sure the project isn't canceled, so maybe they just, like, they're developing Week 3 as well. Or maybe they just got some really big plans for Week 2. Sorry, I'm drinking pop right now. But, I don't know. Speaking of, like, just weeks, when do you guys think Week 8 of, like, the base Friday Night Funkin' game is coming out? Because it's been half a decade since Week 7. So, I'm genuinely curious as to what's gonna be in Week 8. Now, granted, of course, like, the Funkin' crew have been making a bunch of other stuff. They made Weekend 1, they made the playable Pico update, they made the erect difficulty. They've been working on a lot of stuff as well as Week 8. In fact, I'm also thinking they're working on Week 9, since in a Phantom Arcade stream, Phantom Arcade himself says one of the names of the songs for Week 9. Of course, he could be trolling, since that's kind of like what he likes to do in his streams, but the way he said it sounded very genuine. So, yeah, I'm sure that they're also working on Week 9 while also working on Week 8, and of course, you had all this other stuff, including the Seraphim collab. I think that's what their name is. I actually can't remember. But yeah, it's been crazy. And of course, there's also like the new UI update, which they're apparently doing. They're like completely changing the UI, which is honestly pretty exciting. I can't wait to see what that looks like. But yeah, overall, it makes sense why Week 8 has taken so long. But at the same time, it kind of doesn't, because, like, why not focus your attention on Week 8, release that, and then, yeah. But then again, I don't work for the Funkin' crew. I don't know, like, all the decision-making, so I'm not going to judge. And besides, the Pico stuff, all the erect stuff, that's all been great. And I'm very happy with the state of the game right now. I'm very excited for the future and what's going to happen with it. Anyways, speaking of Phantom Arcade streams, here they are. I don't mean to have this come off in like any sort of bad way. Because for those of you who don't know, before Weekend 1 came out, the sprites for Darnell and Nene, as well as I think the first song of Weekend 1, ended up getting leaked, I'm pretty sure by Ninja Muffin. And, it absolutely sucks to have things leaked, Obviously, just working really hard on something and then having it shown to people before you want it to be shown to them, it just sucks, You want it to be ready when it's like you want to show people when the thing's ready. But if I'm being honest, I'm kind of glad that the sprites got leaked, because if they didn't, I feel like we wouldn't have these streams. And in my opinion, these Phantom Arcade streams are like awesome. I always have them playing in the background for like when I'm doing chores, sometimes when I'm working on my animation. It's just overall, I really dig these streams. And just seeing Phantom Arcade draw It's awesome. In fact, these streams are what inspired me to do my screen recorded videos where I work on my animation. So again, although it sucks that the sprites ended up getting leaked, I'm honestly really glad they did because again, I don't think we would have these streams if they didn't leak. So, yeah. I'm not saying that like, we should be happy. I'm just saying, whenever something bad happens, there's always some like good thing that can happen from it. So, and I always try to look for that. Private video. I'm honestly curious if this private video was a part 2 to this guy's video, because I could have sworn that this guy made a part 2 to his every time the FNF devs leaked the game. But when I looked at his channel, I couldn't find it anywhere. So again, I'm curious if maybe the part 2 was this and he privated it, or if this is just some other random video. Here we have my own video, the FNF Final Record Showcase. Can't believe that's from 3 years ago. I got that for my 14th birthday, and now I'm 17. That's just wild to me. Crazy how time flies. Especially because it's only been 3 years. Absolutely crazy how, a lot has just happened in 3 years. People always say, like, time goes by so fast. Whenever I remember seeing people act like so surprised when they found out that 2015, that like last year I'm saying, that 2015 was 10 years ago. And, although I understand, because like, the fact that 2015 is now 11 years ago, it's just kind of crazy. At the same time, a lot has happened in I think all of our lives that we kind of just like put aside because 2015 feels so recent, even though it was also a long time ago. Because like, think about it. In 2015, I was in first grade. And what happened in between 2015 and 2025? I went through second grade, had a bunch of memories there. Third grade, had a bunch of memories there. Fourth grade, fifth grade. I went through all those grades, made a bunch of memories, made a bunch of new friends. A lot of stuff came out. A lot of memes. We went from having MLG to having brain rot, which is practically the same thing, but yeah, there's Ultra Instinct Shaggy. There was freaking I don't know. There's just, it's crazy how a lot has happened and we kind of forget about it. But yeah, but then when you really think about it, it's like, makes sense that 2015 was 10 years ago. But yeah, I'm not sure if I really explained that well. In fact, I'm going to apologize right now if this video just seems largely unscripted and you can't like follow much of the words I'm saying. I don't usually write scripts for my videos unless they're like really long formed, and for this video, I didn't really write a script for it. It's just kind of like a big rant talking about like my memories with some of these videos and all of that. Kind of meant to fully document what I can remember regarding each of these. So that's why I'm talking so much and, I'm just straight up like yapping a whole lot. So if that annoys you, I apologize. I'm not sure if I've already talked about this. But if I didn't, I'll talk about it again. I do have a sort of like separate video series idea coming up where basically it's just going to be me scrolling through these videos, but without me talking. So I'm going to be on like my TV instead of my computer so you guys can get like a bigger screen. And then it's just going to be me like, like not talking, just like scrolling down the videos so you guys can see the videos in the playlist. That way, it's documenting the videos, but you don't have to constantly listen to me like just talking your ear off. So yeah, I'll probably come out with the Sonic one, after I finish this video. So yeah, we'll have to see. Here we have the Dark Sonic versus Boyfriend Blitz fight. My goodness. This fight, how I was kind of like glazing the Kara fight earlier? This fight is like the Kara fight, but 10 times better. In fact, my only complaint is that it's based off Tails Gets Trolled, which, I'm gonna be real, I'm not a big fan of Tails Gets Trolled, both the mod and the comic. I understand that, like, there's, people who like it, and I also understand the appeal behind it. It just personally wasn't really something I ever liked. But still, despite that, this fight is absolutely awesome. I don't know, here, I'm gonna just show you it real quick so you guys see what I'm talking about. Because I feel like words can't describe properly what it is I'm trying to say. Freaking look at this fight, dude. The which side he's on. And then it gets even crazier when they're like flying around. Look at that. That's so cool. It's just, and it gets even crazier too. I recommend you guys watching the video. I might have a link in it in the description of this one, although I feel like that's kind of unfair because, then I would probably have to put links to all of these videos, and I don't think a YouTube description can have that many links in it. But, anyways, yeah, just a cool fight overall. I'm honestly really hoping that Chino's Animated does another FNF one. In fact, maybe he has, and I just didn't know. Let me check real quick. I don't think he has, though. I think the only other FNF thing he's done since that was the FNF Echo BF lore. Which, in case you don't know, Echo Boyfriend is like his own unique take on the character. Basically, he's able to just copy abilities, which is pretty neat, not gonna lie. And that's it. Look at that, 134 videos. Despite this being significantly shorter, like the videos and like the playlist length being significantly lesser than the Sonic one. I mean, this video, from what I'm looking at on my phone, is 31 minutes and 26 seconds. Because I talked so much. And again, I do apologize for that. Again, if you want to watch like me scrolling through these videos without me talking your ear off, I will have those videos on the channel at some point after this one. But if you like hearing me talk, nice. Anyways, but yeah, the final video in this playlist being I try to beat the FNF, the new FNF Pico update by Fiznom. So yeah, pretty neat. Don't really have much else to say. Other than, I mean, yeah, that's the end of the playlist. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at two more really small ones. So let's start off with the Undertale one, since it only has 9 videos. So, yeah. Freaking Giga Chad Sans. I must have had like a little obsession with this. I'm not entirely sure. It is a pretty fascinating mod. And that's it. A lot shorter. Not really much else to say. Honestly, I'm surprised I don't have like a Deltarune playlist. Alright, now what's the other one? Should we do... I was thinking about maybe doing Gacha, but I also have an entire video kind of going over Gacha. So, I don't know. I guess we won't really talk about this playlist in this video. Let's go over... Call of Duty, since that only has 24. Modern Warfare 3. Dude, I remember... So regarding my history with Call of Duty, I was never really a Call of Duty person, at least not like when I was younger. I was more of a Halo guy, because that's what I grew up playing. And my only exposure to Call of Duty, like the only times I would ever actually play it, would be Black Ops 3 with my friend Silas whenever I would go to his house. So when Silas got Modern Warfare 2, the rebooted one, not the original, I remember thinking the game was like super fun because like the rebooted, like most modern Call of Duty games these days feel a lot different than the Call of Duty games from like the Black Ops era, or I guess like Black Ops 3 and before. And I could just feel the difference in gameplay when I was like playing multiplayer and whatnot. And I remember when I saw the trailer for Modern Warfare 3 reboot, I was like so excited. At first I didn't even know it was like a trailer for Modern Warfare 3. I thought it was just some trailer for like a movie. But then when the logo was shown, I was like, yo, Modern Warfare 3? Heck yeah. And I was so excited that I ended up asking to get the game for Christmas. And I must say, I did not like it. Not a single bit. The campaign was like the worst. It was not only the shortest, but it was just the worst in Call of Duty history. Say what you want about the Black Ops 3 campaign, but at least it's like funny, you know, at least you can get some sort of entertainment from how bad it is. Modern Warfare 3 reboot is just boring. Like nothing really interesting happens. And also I couldn't even play like zombies. I couldn't play multiplayer because I needed like the Xbox Game Pass or whatever, and my dad was not going to buy that. So quite literally, I spent $70 on a probably, I think it was like an hour, maybe 2 hour long campaign where all the missions were just really boring. And it took up like so much space on my Xbox as well. And it took so long to download. It just sucked. I did not like Modern Warfare 3. And when I saw the reviews, because like before Modern Warfare 3 came out, I kind of had my Call of Duty phase. You know, I was watching several review videos. You know, I was getting into the franchise. But it was when I finally played Modern Warfare 3 Rebooted that I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to buy a game until I see the reviews for it. And to this day, you know, I've stuck by that. I haven't bought a game before, like, seeing the reviews and whatnot. So, yeah, overall, Modern Warfare 3 sucks. And it's crazy to me that, like, it's kind of had a sort of resurgence. I kid you not, I've seen people say it was actually really, like, overhated. And what I think the funniest thing was that in one of those videos that I watched, I went to the comment section and there was this one commenter who was talking about like what Modern Warfare 3 Rebooted did better than like the Call of Duty games we get nowadays. One of the things they brought up was that it had fewer clown skins or whatever, you know, talking about those like collab skins, which is just hilarious to me because I remember people like crapping on Modern Warfare 3 Rebooted for how much like clown skins it had. So that just goes to show how much worse the franchise has gone. Like, my goodness. And it's weird because I feel like, you know, say what you want about like the Black Ops 6 campaign or the Black Ops 7 campaign, at least those are like still somewhat entertaining. In my opinion, they're better than the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, but I guess when it does come like to the multiplayer, Modern Warfare 3 did have a lot of support, so I'm not trying to say that Modern Warfare 3 was entirely bad. It's just, it wasn't good, and I think it wasn't overhated. I think the hate was very justified. But, yeah, overall, screw Modern Warfare 3, the reboot. I played the original not too long ago. I actually really liked it. But, yeah. Got a lot of zombies custom maps. Black Ops 6. I remember when Black Ops 6 was first revealed, I was actually super excited for it because of like what they were showing off. I was like actually getting excited for a Call of Duty game again. because what they were showing off seemed like they were actually improving upon the formula. For example, the Omni movement, where you could finally sprint to the right, left, and backwards. To this day, I'm still shocked that, like, there was basically no first-person shooter game that did that. Like, that's such a simple thing to do, and yet it took until Black Ops 6 for not only the Call of Duty franchise, but I feel like any franchise to kind of include being able to run backwards and whatnot. Now, granted, I could be wrong. Maybe there was a first-person shooter out there that made it so you could sprint in any direction, but the fact that it took Call of Duty specifically this long is crazy to me. But, yeah. And that's it. Ends with the FPS Psychos Terminus from The Walking Dead and COD Zombies, Black Ops 3. So, yeah, I really like this guy's videos, by the way. FPS Psycho. I don't know, his videos are, like, relaxing to listen to. Maybe I should start putting on his videos for, like, whenever I'm doing work. I'm not sure. But, yeah, so that was the Call of Duty playlist. And that's all we're going to be covering today. So, again, I apologize for the very amateurish quality of this video, and also just for me talking a lot. Again, these videos, I feel like these videos are not really meant to be, like, my best. Those are mainly for, like, the videos I have coming up. But still, you know, I wanted to make this at least somewhat good, so I hope I did that well. And, yeah, with that being said, hope you all have a good rest of your day. Bye!